What's up, dogs and dogettes? Welcome to week 8 of the NFL Pick'em series with your boy Harkdawg 25, where we pick against the spreads. We pick straight up winners. We try and win some cash for myself and my Pick'em league. We try and answer questions for fantasy football, even though one of my fantasy teams is 0-7. I got the big goose egg in the win column, but the other three, okay. So my auction league, I am terrible at auction leagues, 0-7. My other 3 leagues, the standard snake draft leagues, I am 4-3 and then 2-5-2 teams. So I'm 16-7 there, and then 0-7. I'm just not good at an auction league. I never made the playoffs in an auction league. I'm just not smart. I don't know. I got to do a little bit more research into it or something like that. But anyways, welcome. So let's go through. Oh, I don't have the pictures up. Give me 1 second. Okay, I need to know how we did last week, and that's not the right folder. And here we go. Yeah, we're talking football. We're having fun. Yup. And almost there. And there's one picture. Okay. So last week I was 7-7 win-loss, 4-10 versus the spread. I have one of these weeks every year where I'm right near the top and then down to the bottom. So bad. But I'm 64-41 win-loss overall. Still 56-48 and 2 versus the spread. So not doing too bad overall versus the spread. I think I'm 5th in my Pick'em league. Fitz Canada had a good week last week against the spread and straight up. He's 8-6 against the spread, which is really good when there's only 14 games, and 10-4 straight up wins. So he's 69-36 straight up. He is kicking my butt, and against the spread, he's 31-24. So he's about the same as me percentage-wise there. Doing pretty well. That way Fitz, keep it up. And he dominated me last week. It happens. But this week, I feel better about my picks. I'm going back to my old system, not inputting as much info. Just going straight up home team, better coach, better QB, better talent on offense, better defense, and then random coin flips after that. But usually those 5 factors, you can see where a team is heading or how they're doing. So let's go. First game, Thursday night. Tonight, 7.5 point favorite, New England Patriots against the surging Miami Dolphins. Surging, they beat Tennessee, they beat Houston. They crushed both of them, but not really much talent there. And New England's coming off a good win against a tough New York Jets team that played them very well. New England's at home. Gotta go with New England on this one. I feel like there's Gronk and Edelman and Brady just have that rapport, and those dump-offs. Brady just loves dumping the ball off. He doesn't need to throw deep anymore. You throw like, the 20, 30-yard pass here and there, but you don't see any bombs from that team anymore. It's just like, get it in the hands of Gronk. He'll break 5 tackles. Get it in the hands of Edelman. Those pick plays, those rub plays that they love to do. It's going to be too much for Dan Campbell and the interim coach in Miami. And I think they don't stand a chance. New England wins and covers. Then Sunday games. Kansas City at home, favored by 5 points, coming off a surprising win, really, against Pittsburgh last week. But Landry Jones just did not have it. Yeah, let's be honest. He did not have it. Against the Detroit Lions. How did Detroit do last week? I think they lost. Yeah, they lost. They lost to Minnesota. That's right. They aired it out to Calvin Johnson early, and they took a 14-point lead. And then, I don't know, Stafford, stopped throwing the ball to Calvin. They just don't have a running game. They don't have very good defense. If Stafford's off, that team is going to lose. It's just not a very talented team. But I am taking Detroit to cover in this game, Kansas City to win. I think Alex Smith is going to do just enough with the talent he has, minus Jamal Charles. Charkandrick West had a decent game last week. But he can't replace Jamal Charles, honestly. So I think Detroit's going to cover this game. Kansas City's going to win. It'll probably be like a 24-20 type game. So I got Detroit in this one, Kansas City winning. Next game, Atlanta favored by a touchdown at home against Tampa Bay. Atlanta where's their offense gone? I mean, if they didn't have Devontae Freeman, Matt Ryan just can't carry that team. They put up 10 points against Tennessee. What? Zach Mettenberger led Tennessee. Tennessee's defense isn't that good. Tampa Bay should have beat Washington. I couldn't believe it. I thought I picked Washington to win and cover that game, but they were behind 24-0. And I'm like, well, this is over. Washington goes on a 31-6 run to end the game and wins it by a point. It's what the heck? No way. So I feel like what they're doing with Jameis, they're not putting the game in his hands. They're getting the ball Doug Martin. They're getting the ball short passes. He's not doing anything crazy. He's protecting the football, and that's working out pretty well for that team. Doug Martin is a lifesaver for them, because if they didn't have a running game, they'd get crushed every game. So I feel like they have enough talent to go into the Georgia Dome there and cover the spread. But Atlanta's still going to win. I feel it'll be a 4-point win, 6-point win, like a 27-21 type thing. So I got Tampa Bay covering, Atlanta winning. Next game, Cleveland at home. Underdogs by 5 points against the Arizona Cardinals. McCown just got roughed up in that last game against St. Louis. They threw a lot of yards. They got a lot of yards, but a lot of fumbles. Caused the Browns to just not even be in the game. It wasn't even close, and Gurley just ran all over them. So I picked the better head coach, better QB, better defense, Arizona to win and cover this game. Next game, St. Louis, the aforementioned, favored by 8.5 points at home against San Francisco. I'm picking St. Louis to win and cover this game. They're at home. San Francisco, Carlos Hyde is out. And Kaepernick, we've seen, cannot carry a team at all. I feel like this game is going to be a 28-14 St. Louis win, or like a 27-14, 24-14, something where San Francisco only scores 14 points, because that's all they can score. That's all they're averaging, really, I think, this season. They're just looking bad. So I got St. Louis winning and covering this game. Next one, going down to the Big Easy, the Superdome. New Orleans favored by 3 against your New York Giants. The Giants, I think they're coming off, did they win last week? I think they beat Dallas, right? Yeah. But Dallas handed them the game. I mean, the Giants played terrible. Dallas played okay, but Castle was the best friend of the Giants, throwing 3 picks there. And a pick 6 to DRC. I feel like New Orleans at home, they got their feet under them a little bit. I think they're going to win and cover this game. They got some momentum, beating Indianapolis and beating Atlanta. So I feel this game, New Orleans is going to win and cover. Next game, Chicago. The Bears at home against the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears have been picking it up a little bit. They lost that tough game against Detroit where they should have won in overtime. They did not. But it seems like John Fox is turning that team around a little bit. That being said, they just don't have the talent that Minnesota has. Minnesota has a better head coach, in my opinion, and Zimmer, the better QB. All right, I'm back. Minnesota just has a better team. They got the better running back. I feel like they got the better QB. Definitely the better defense. The coach, Zimmer, is good. John Fox hasn't really won anything. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, but he's never won one. So I gotta go with Minnesota on this one. They're only favored by a point. They can win by a field goal pretty easily in Chicago. Next game, Baltimore at home, favored by 3 points against the San Diego Chargers. Chargers and Phillip Rivers. I love garbage time yards. Oh man, that guy. He was just having a terrible game for me in fantasy, and then he just started chucking touchdowns and yards and ended up putting up like 25 points for me in fantasy, basically all in the fourth quarter. Baltimore, who would have seen this 1-6 start coming? The team is just bad. When you look at it on paper, they just don't have the talent. They don't have the Ray Lewises. They don't have the Ed Reeds. They don't have the Haloti Nadas. They don't have a defense. They don't have Terrell Suggs. Forsett is okay. He's not the best. He's a journeyman. Steve Smith Sr. is the only talent they got. Crockett Gilmore, who's that? Kamar Aiken, who's that? Flacco just can't carry that team, and plus he's just under duress all game. So I think San Diego, even though their D-line isn't the best, they contained Rodgers pretty well. They did not contain Carr and Cooper. But I feel that they're going to come into Baltimore and they're going to win this game and cover. I just don't have any faith in the Ravens. This is a lost year for them. They're already 6 games back of the Bengals, basically, because they lost to the Bengals. There's no way they're going to make the playoffs. So, lost year. They're giving up. They're rebuilding. San Diego coming in and winning. Next game, Pittsburgh at home against my Cincinnati Bengals. I'm taking Cincinnati in this one. I know that Roethlisberger's coming back. I know he's got Antonio Brown to throw to, Martavius Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, Le'Veon Bell. That being said, they still don't have a defense. The better all-around team is the Bengals. Better defense, better special teams, better running backs, better tandem running backs. Le'Veon Bell is definitely a better back by himself. And the offensive line on the Bengals, I think, is a little bit better than the offensive line, especially with Pouncey out for the Steelers. So I'm picking Cincinnati to win this game by a field goal. Probably a 30-27 game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. So if you got some fantasy guys for Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, definitely plug them in. Definitely look for Eifert. He's going to get some looks. So next game, I got Cincinnati in that one. Let's go next game. Houston, favored by 4.5 points at home against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense has been picking up as of late. Mettenberger's not the best, but Houston, I feel like with Hoyer, he's not going to do too much either. He threw the ball a lot to Nate Washington and Hopkins last week, but Washington got all the touchdowns. But those were garbage time touchdowns. The game was over. It was 41-0 at half against Miami. But DeAndre Hopkins is just a beast. Washington, picking up a little bit, but Arian Foster going down. You can't rely on Alfred Blue. He's not that good. Tennessee, doesn't really have much for running back either, but I think they're going to keep it close. This will be a field goal game as well. Houston, I think, will win the game at home, but Tennessee's going to cover the spread. Maybe like a 21-17 type game. It'll be low scoring. There's not much offense here. All right, next game, Oakland at home against the New York Jets. New York Jets favored by 2 points. Oakland coming off that crushing of San Diego. San Diego garbage time comeback. Didn't really matter. The Jets coming off a tough loss against New England. They played well. That big drop by Marshall. The offsides by Marshall. I mean, those 2 plays right there, and the Jets are a lot closer than, the 7-point loss that they had. It's a 3-point loss. They're even closer than that. So the Jets favored by 2. I'm going to take the Jets in this one. Oakland, I feel it's just too young on the offensive side, and you got Revis and Antonio Cromartie there in the Jets, and they're going to shut down Cooper and Crabtree, and that's going to really limit what they can do on offense. Oakland, anyways, what they can do on offense. So I feel like the Jets are just going to swarm them, put some duress on Carr, stop the run, stop Murray, and I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to win it pretty well. I think they're going to win by a touchdown, maybe a 27-20 type game. So Jets in that one. Next game, Dallas at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle surging Seahawks. Yeah, they're surging. Well, they beat San Francisco last week, and then what they beat the week before. Let's see here. Seattle. Oh, yeah. Well, they lost to Carolina the week before. So they're not really surging. They have 1 win in a row. But Dallas, just, even with Dez back, I feel like Seattle's just going to be too much for Dallas to handle without Romo. Castle's just Castle. He's not that good of a player. He had a 1 good year in 2008. He had a good year in, I think, 2009 or 2010 with the Chiefs, where he took them to the playoffs. But, I mean, for a guy that's been in the league for 10 years, no playoff win, not too much success other than those 2 years. I feel like Dallas just doesn't have it. So Seattle's going to win and cover this one. Russell Wilson's going to run all over him. Lynch, 10 days off. He looked better last week against San Francisco. So he's getting his feet under him. He's finally got that hamstring healed. So he's gonna be beast mode again, and he's gonna take it to Dallas, and they're gonna win and cover this game. Then Sunday Night Football with Al and Chris. Denver Broncos underdogs to my Green Bay Packers by 3 points. And you know how I'm going in this one. I'm going Green Bay all the way. The defenses are very similar in points allowed. Actually, Green Bay is number 1 in the league in points allowed. per game, and that's what I look at. I don't care about yards. Oh yeah, you gave 520 yards to Phillip Rivers. They put only 20 points with 520 yards, and that is incredible to hold a team to that, and to be on the field for that long. You gotta think, one touchdown at the end of the half on the 4th down from the 1, that San Diego ended up getting. If they didn't get that, they only get 13 points, and Rivers throws for 500 yards. That's just incredible to me. And 2 weeks off. They're both coming off buys. But look, who's the better QB now? Rodgers. The better defense, maybe a slight edge to Denver, even though I think DeMarcus Ware is still hurt. But it's almost very comparable. Receivers, maybe a little bit better in Denver. I think we have the better overall receivers, 1 through 4. Special teams, I feel like we got a better special teams this year with the new coach. And head coach, we definitely got a better head coach in McCarthy, better than Kubiak. Kubiak's only won a few playoff games down in Houston. And the better running game. Denver just doesn't have a running game. C.J. Anderson's been a flop. I drafted him, just a big flop. Hillman had one big run, but other than that, they're averaging like 2 yards a carry. We have Starks, we have Lacey. So overall, the offense, we have better offensive line. So our offense is better than their offense, and the defenses are pretty comparable. Our special teams is a little bit better. So you add that all up, even though they got a home advantage, Green Bay is going to win by 10 points. It's going to be 34-24. I feel like Green Bay, Rodgers is going to come out firing, and they're going to have a great game plan, and they're going to pick Manning off a couple times, and the game will be well within hand halfway through the 4th quarter. So, Green Bay, that game, winning, covering. Then Monday night, Carolina Panthers at home fair by a touchdown against Indianapolis. Indianapolis coming off another loss where they were down 27-0 to the Saints like that. Like, it didn't last very long where they were in the game. And T.Y. Hilton tried to bring them back. Had those 2 long plays. But something's wrong with Indianapolis. Something wrong with Luck. Something's wrong with his shoulder. Something's wrong with that team. Something's wrong with the management. Something's wrong with the head coach to owner to GM relationship. There's just something's off about that team, and it's showing on the field. And Carolina, they've tightened down the screws. They took it to Seattle. A couple weeks ago, they took it to, who did they play last week? Carolina. They took it to Philly last week. They're just a good team. They don't turn the ball over. Cam's making great decisions. He's in the running for MVP because he is the star of that team. And then defense with Norman there. Jared Allen coming in. Kuechly. They got a good defense. They run the ball well with Stewart. They get it to Olsen when they need to. This team really reminds me of Seattle, a lot from the past couple of years, and that's why they're winning. They don't need to win games, flashy with the big long touchdowns. If they beat you down and take your will to play and win that way, I mean that's a more decisive win than winning 35-10 and you're just throwing up points. Because they're breaking a will of a team. It's like they broke the will of Seattle. They broke the will of Philadelphia last week. So I got Carolina winning and covering this game. So I feel pretty confident about my picks. Picking a lot of away teams to cover. But that's all right. It just so happens to fall that way. So leave your picks below. Leave your comments below. Leave your fantasy questions below. And good luck. See if you can beat the dog. We'll see you next week before the NFL countdown happens. Take care.